Right, so far we've written equations from situations. We've written equations if we've been given the slope and the intercept. We've written the equation if we're given the slope and a point. Well, now we're going to do if we're given just 2 points. We're not given the slope or the intercept. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to write an equation of a line if I give you 2 points. All right, first of all, we all know we should be able to fill this out super easy. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay, if I'm giving you 2 points, the biggest thing is I didn't give you m and I didn't give you b. So the first thing, if you have 2 points, if you can think of like I had like 5, 6, and 2, 7, the first thing that I can do if I'm given 2 points is to find the slope. So that's the exact first thing that we're going to do. So we're going to find the slope, and then after that it turns into a problem that we've done before. We're going to, just like we've done before, we're going to identify the m, the x, and the y. I will then solve for b like I'm very used to doing, and then we'll write an equation of the line using y equals mx plus b, the m and the b. So once we get through this step right here, which we actually already know how to find the slope, everything else becomes just old news. All right, so let's practice. Let's write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the points. So this first one's going to pass through the point 3, 0, and 2, negative 4. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do on this problem as well, although it does not ask me to do this, I'm going to go ahead and graph it just so you get an idea of what we're looking for when we do this. So 3, 0 means go to the right 3 and stay put, and then 2, negative 4 means to go to the right 2, and then down 4. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and draw it. Now the directions say write an equation of this line. So we just want to find out what would the equation of that line be. So first thing that we need to do is find the slope. Okay, if you need to label your problems as x1, y1, x2, y2, go right ahead. I think most people are kind of getting comfortable with slope and don't need to do that. Okay, y2 minus y1 is negative 4 minus 0. And then divided by x2 minus x1 would be 2 minus 3. Okay, that will end up giving me negative 4 over negative 1, which reduces to 4. So now notice I now have the slope, right? The next thing that we want to do is I need an x and a y. Well, notice I have 2 x's and 2 y's. I only need to pick one of them. So you're just usually going to pick the one that you like better. I'm guessing that we would like 3, 0 better because there are no negatives. So I'm just going to circle this point right here. Okay, so I'm going to write down y equals mx plus b, and this becomes a problem that we actually did in an earlier video. So the y value is 0, it's already nicely labeled. Okay, my m, I just found out was 4, times the x value, again, is nicely labeled, which is 3, plus b. And so now I have 0 equals 4 times 3, which is 12, plus b. To get rid of the 12, since it's positive, I'm going to do minus 12 to both sides, and I'll end up getting that b is equal to negative 12. And then remember, we're not quite done yet because we still have to write the equation of the line. So we'll have y equals, again, m was 4x, and then b was minus 12. So that would be the equation of my line. All right, let's try another one here. Let's say I have 3, negative 2, and 7, negative 2. And if you're feeling kind of okay about that, you might just want to go ahead and pause the video at this time and see if you can get one on your own and then come back and check it. All right, first thing that I know that I would like to do is find the slope. And again, I'm just going to label this just in case that's helpful for you. Okay, the slope, y2 minus y1 will be negative 2 minus negative 2. And then divided by x2 minus x1 will be 7 minus 3. Okay, when I do that, that's going to give me 0 over 4, which reduces to 0. So my slope is 0. And then again, I'm just going to pick one of these points. I think I'll just go ahead and pick this first one. It doesn't really matter. You're going to get the same answer when you're done, whichever point you pick. So I'm going to write y equals mx plus b, right? My y value, clearly labeled as negative 2. My m, I just found out, was 0. My x value, again, labeled is 3. Plus b, so I'm going to have negative 2 equals 0 plus b, which just means that b is equal to negative 2. Okay, since it asked me for the equation of the line, I'm going to have y equals m, which was 0x, plus b, which is minus 2. And again, since it's just 0x, I don't really need to write that. It'll just be y equals negative 2. All right, next one, let's do negative 2, 0, and 2, 3. All right, again, what we're going to do, and again, if you'd like to pause the video, that's totally fine, and come back and see how you did. So my slope is going to be x1, y1, x2, y2, right? y2 minus y1 will be 3 minus 0 over x2 minus x1 is going to be 2 minus negative 2. On the top, I'll get 3. On the bottom, I'll get 4. That does not reduce nicely, so my slope is just 3/4, so I get a fraction. That's okay. All right, I am going to choose, I think, the second point this time because there are no negatives, and sometimes people don't like dealing with negatives, so that's where I'll go. Okay, so I have y equals mx plus b. My y is 3 equals my m is 3/4 times my x is 2 plus b. So now I'm going to have 3 equals, if I take 3/4 times 2, I'm going to get 3/2, or it might say 1.5 on your calculator if you do that. And then I will subtract 1.5 from both sides. So I'll end up getting b is equal to 1 1/2. You could also have this as 1.5, or you could have it as 3/2. All of those would be equivalent answers. And then my equation of my line will be y equals m, which is 3/4 x, plus the b, which is 1.5. Alrighty, let's try one more. Let's say I've got 3, -3, and then I've got -2, 6. Alright, first thing that I would like to do is find the slope. And again, I'll just label it just in case. And if you did the last fraction one with me, you might want to try this fraction one without me, see how you do. Okay, y2 minus y1, 6 minus -3. x2 minus x1, -2 minus 3. So up top, I'm going to get 9. Down below, I'm going to get -5. And again, that doesn't work out nicely, so that is my slope. All right, I think I'll just stick with the first point this time. Again, although it doesn't matter at all, I have y equals mx plus b. So my y value is -3, and again, it's labeled as y, equals my m, which is -9/5, times my x, which is 3, plus b. So then I'm going to have -3 equals, this will end up being -27/5, but if you're using your calculator, you'll get -5 2/5 plus b. And then to get rid of -5 2/5, we'll add 5 2/5 to both sides. And so I'll end up getting b equals 2 2/5. Okay, so the equation of my line will be y equals m, which is -9/5 x, plus b, which is 2 2/5. Problem number 5 is asking us once again to write an equation of the line if the data is a line, actually. So what we need to do, if you are given a table, the first thing that you want to make sure, if it doesn't tell you that the points in the table form a line, we want to make sure that it actually does form a line if we were to plot all these points. So what we are going to be checking for, first of all, I just want you to check the x's, and please notice that the x's are going up by 2 each time, so they are following a pattern. So as long as the x's are going up by a pattern, then we also are going to make sure that the y's are going by a pattern as well. So from 34 to 46, that is going up by 12. And then from 46 to 58, we're going up by 12. And then 58 to 70, we're going up by 12. I'll put plus 12 there. Okay, and then from 70 to 82, it's going up by 12. So the x's are following the pattern as well as the y's are following a pattern. So it is, I'm just going to say yes, it is linear. So that's one thing. If we're given a table, again, we have to check. Once we find out that it is linear, then we are going to use the process that we used in the other problems where we have 2 points and then we find an equation given those 2 points. So as long as the pattern is linear, which we are fine it is, we can pick any 2 points. So I'm going to pick 434 and I'm going to pick 1070. They just look kind of nice to me. So I'm going to write them as points. So I'm going to write 4, 34, and then I'm going to write 10, 70. Okay, and now from here, we are going to go ahead. The first thing that we did in the other problems was find the slope. So I'm going to find the slope. So I'm going to take my y value minus my y value. So it'll be 70 minus 34 over my x value minus my x value. So it'll be 10 minus 4. 70 minus 34 is 36, and then 10 minus 4 is 6. 36 divided by 6 is 6. So my slope is 6, and then we are going to do the y equals mx plus b.
And we get to pick one of the points. I'm going to pick 1070. It just looks a little nicer. So this will be my x, and this will be my y, and this will be my m. So now it's just a point of plugging things in and finding b. So my y is 70, my m is 6, my x is 10, and I don't know my b. So now we'll have 70 equals 6 times 10 is 60 plus b, and then we'll subtract 60 from both sides, and we'll get b equals 10. So then my equation is going to be y equals, my m again was 6, and then we'll get x plus 10. Okay, and then one thing I would like you to notice even though this chart was going up by 12s, my slope was just 6 because the x's were not going up by 1s. So just a little FYI on that one. Okay, then problem 6, a little story problem here for you. To ride in a best-in-town taxi, you pay a start fee and a mileage fee. The situation is linear, keyword there. Okay, so we know we can do y equals mx plus b for this problem. Okay, to travel 8 miles, the cost is $23. To travel 12 miles, the cost is $33. Write an equation, linear equation, that represents the cost as a function of the number of miles. So let's have the x be the miles, and we'll have y be the cost. All right, so if I look at this problem, I actually have 2 points hidden in the problem. The points that I have, to go 8 miles, it's going to cost me $23, and to go 12 miles, the cost is going to be 33 miles. And then since they told me that the situation was linear, we can go ahead and find the equation of the line. So the first thing that we want to do is find the slope. So we're going to get m equals, I'm going to take my y value minus my y value, so 33 minus 23, and then divide it by my x minus my x, which will be 12, minus 8. 33 minus 23 is 10, and 12 minus 8 is 4, and 10 divided by 4 is 2.5. Okay, so my slope is 2.5. I'm going to pick one of those points. Neither of them really looks any better than the other, so I'll just pick 823. So we'll have y equals mx plus b, if you want to label your x, your y, and your m. So my y is 23, so I'll have 23 equals, my m is 2.5, times my x, which was 8, plus b. Okay, then we'll have 23 equals, 2.5 times 8 is 20, I believe. Let me just double check my math there. Yep, it is 20. Okay, then to get b by itself, we'll subtract 20 from both sides. So I'll get b is equal to 3, and then we just get to write our equation. So y equals my m, which was 2.5, x, and then my b was 3. So that would be the equation of my line.